So I'm in Alamogordo, New Mexico, staying at Holloman Air Force Base. I was only going to stay here about 3 days to go over and visit White Sands National Park and also Carlsbad Cavern, New Mexico. But there's an open house that's occurring on the 2nd of October, and it's an important place in history, and it's only open twice a year, so I decided to stick around and head out to it. Located in Alamogordo is the New Mexico Museum of Space History, a Smithsonian affiliate museum established in 1976. It showcases the area's contributions to aerospace and the space program. I'm in the elevator right now, going up to the 5th floor. You start at the 5th floor and then work your way down. Pretty neat graphics here. The museum also has a moon rock from Apollo 17, which was the final mission of NASA's Apollo program. And before Alan Shepard launched into space aboard Freedom 7, the hero of the United States space program was a chimpanzee who trained here at Holloman Air Force Base, but was then known only as number 65. That is, until selected and launched on January the 31st, 1961, atop a Redstone rocket from Cape Canaveral, Florida. That chimpanzee is now and forever known as Ham. Well, it took forever to get here, well over 100 miles, and then once I entered the range, it was over 17 miles. But I finally made it, and where am I at? I'm at the Trinity site, the site of the first atomic bomb detonation. The Trinity site is located on what is now the White Sands Missile Range. The area now looks much as it did during the time of the test, and along the fence that surrounds Ground Zero, historic pictures of the test were placed for this open house event. I placed information for 2 documentary films regarding the Manhattan Project and the Trinity test in the description section of this video. Both of those videos have interviews with some of the more famous physicists that worked on the project. I enjoyed watching those videos and learning more about this fascinating period of American history. I just came from the Trinity site. Same day, different hat, got my exploring hat on now. But if you look on Google Maps and you go to the north end of the White Sands Missile Range, up where the Trinity site is located, and look at 380, and then come across 380 east, you'll see a big black area. It's about 40 some odd miles long, and from Google Maps it looks like possibly water, but it's not. It's a lava field. This is the Valley of Fires, federal lands that are managed by the Bureau of Land Management. The lava field was created some 5,000 years ago and covers around 125 square miles. It's fake. I had thought about camping here, but that will be for another trip. Alright, got my ticket, and because we're still in COVID protocol, You have to wear a mask in the visitor center and also in the cave. So there's two ways of getting down into the cave. One is the elevator. The other is just walking down, which is called the natural entrance, and that's what I will be doing. The route is well marked, but the use of low lighting did not make for good video. I shot a lot of video, I just couldn't use it. The cave system is home to many bats, and the seating you saw outside the cave entrance is for viewing them in the early morning and evening. Unfortunately, during the time of my visit, most of the bats had already migrated south for the winter. So I just came out of the cave, and I will tell you, it is massive. I spent over 2 hours down there, and I was moving fairly quick. If you had bought one of the audio recordings to where you go to each station and then press a button and it tells you about that area, you could probably spend 4 or more hours down there. Something I didn't realize is that this cave system, when you get to the bottom, you're over 754 feet down. That's roughly 75 stories down. And it is a massive cave system. Very well lit up in certain sections. I never did put the coat on. The temp was actually quite comfortable, but if you're going to visit, I would definitely recommend you bring it. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. My last stop in the area, and my last stop on this amazing 4-month journey out west, was the White Sands National Park. So there is a section that's paved for a couple of miles, and then you get to the section that's all sand, or gypsum, which is what this is. I actually made a few trips to the park before leaving, and on one of those days, I was able to participate in a park ranger guided tour.
To the Sunset Stroll, and well, I guess maybe at first I should explain what is the Sunset Stroll. It's about a 5-mile hike. I'm sorry. It's about a 1-mile hike, very leisurely paced. We will stop a few times to talk a little bit about the park, but the goal is to end up on a high dune right before sunset. We'll all watch sunset together. Does that sound good? Yeah. Other tiny little gypsum dune fields in the world, but nothing that compares to the size of White Sands. So where does all this sand come from? It comes from this. This is the crystallized version of gypsum. But in the Sacramento Mountains over there, you have lines of rocks. And these really light ones are bands of gypsum. And if you could, but it's backlit by the sun, over here in the San Andreas Mountains, you would see identical layers of rock. Identical layers of rock as you would see over here in the Sacramento. It says that if you have exact geology there, and the same exact geology there, they were once connected. If that is true, where is the rest of those mountains?
Right here.
They're below your feet. They're below your feet. They're about 10,000 feet below your feet. That gypsum gets washed off the mountain and it pools in the lowest point in this basin, again, in the far western reaches of the park. Conditions are right for these selenite crystals to grow. However, selenite or gypsum is the second softest mineral in the world. I can just pick it off with my fingers here. That's how soft it is. So this stuff easily breaks down. You have physical and chemical means that start to break these crystals down so they're smaller, smaller, and smaller until the crystals get to be about the size of a cornflake. At that point, the wind takes over. The wind starts blowing these cornflake crystals around and they bash each other. And they get smaller and smaller and smaller until in about 15 miles, they're sand particle size. And that is where all of this gypsum originates from.
My trip out west started with the Indianapolis 500 and ended here at White Sands National Park, as the next day I started my day-and-a-half trip back east to Tennessee to spend time with my parents, enjoy the holidays with family, and plan for upcoming travels and adventures. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and if you have not subscribed, please do so, and tell a friend. And I always enjoy reading your comments.